Hey everybody, hope you're all having a good day. It is Tuesday, which means it's time for a catch playthrough on the continue our attorneys episode 2, which is the mystery of the Kokoro. Why am I keep getting that wrong? Anyway, we got past the trial of that one, so we're on the second part of the memoirs. Damn it! Twice. So memoirs of the Kokoro, and basically we're on the investigation part, which is the post-trial. We're past the first part of the trial, so I'm assuming we're going to get back into another trial. For now, let us continue that. So 22nd of February, 1:11 p.m. Naruhodo's legal consultation. Whew, we made it back in one piece. Just. To be perfectly honest, I thought we were finished there for a while. Oh, I know. Oh, a lot of close shaves. There are so many characters on the streets of London. You were nearly flattened several times. Oh, no! I didn't mean that. Yes, I know. It was a marvelous defense, Naruhodo-san. It really was. I was in awe of you. Oh, thank you. And now that your frequent exploits have won us some more precious investigation time, let's see if we can't find some new clues for court tomorrow. Yes, let's do that. Is everything alright? I suppose. I still can't quite believe it. That's all. And I'm here in England working as a lawyer. I mean, in the Old Bailey, no less. Truth is, it shouldn't be me. It should be him standing in my shoes. It should be Kazuma. It was Kazuma-san's wish that you follow in the Great Britain and work alongside him. Yes, I mean, I never had a chance to ask him exactly why, but he clearly had a plan. Wonder who would be here today if it wasn't for him. And you're doing wonderfully, Naruhodo-san. I have no doubt that Kazuma-san would say exactly the same as if he were here with us. Thank you, Susano-san. Thank you. You've worn that ever since we arrived in Great Britain, haven't you? Well, it was true that I'm a lawyer, so it seems appropriate. I'm not sure that really means much in this country, though, I'm afraid. I wouldn't say that. It might not be official, but it looks official. Often when police can't stop me, I show them this and they leave me alone. You're stopped by the police? Often? Well, you know, I'm a suspicious foreigner, dressed all in black with a sword at my side. I do think it's probably the sword that's the main reason. Still, it makes me happy to see you're wearing it. And the armband. Yes, I made up my mind that I'll carry them always. The symbols of who I am, and the sword Karama. Okay, so then when you look at this. Oh dear, one indeed. Let me see. You don't know, really, it's fine. It's fine to say so. I won't hold it against you. Okay, just want to present these and see if we get anywhere. Ah, Sana-san, what do you think of this? Ah yes, the soap that we found in the ledge outside Mr. Shakespeare's blocked up window. Since we discovered him poisoned, I've been scared to wash my hands. I keep thinking that foul soap is going to be the end of me. Well, the soap's bad name was clear in the end, wasn't it? I suppose so. I'm still worried about it. I think it'd be safer just to never wash my hands again. I think you haven't thought that through. You will wash your hands, Mr. Naruhodo-san. You will. Still need to figure out that other end of that envelope. That's been part of the case for a while. Like I said, I just want to go through all this clear anything up. But you could have some more out of this. Which didn't seem to be the case. Oh, here we go. Unless you put coins in this meter, of course, it won't give you any gas. The British have some really chilling inventions, don't they? Sorry? Well, you could die on a cold winter's night if you weren't able to light your stove. Suppose in a way, one little coin could be the difference between life and death. Personally, I'd break the meter and find a way to light the stove somehow. Oh no. The meter might explode if you were to tamper with it, Naruto-san. The gas company has it all buttoned up, don't they? Okay, it was quite a shock earlier today, wasn't it? When the victim himself turned up in court and took the stand. I know. Not only that, but then finding that he's actually a barefaced gas thief as well. Yes, that's certainly a surprise to us all. For why? It seemed as though everyone had quite forgotten about Suzuki-san poisoning the tea. Careful of your phrasing, Susano-san. Didn't poison anything. And there's more than this Mr. Shanspeare than we yet know. I'm sure of it. Mr. Shanspeare certainly wasn't a noble, upstanding man everyone thought he was at first. What's become of him, actually? I was told that he'd be returning to the hospital ward where he was receiving treatment. Oh, which one was that? It pops out of nowhere. Let me see. Ah, yes. He's a Saint Bartholomew, or Barts of Londoners, as Londoners call it. We know that place, don't we? Oh, it's in the bag! Yes, we visited a screener yesterday. It's the same hospital to which he was taken. Ah, yes, after Suzuki-san stopped her in the back. Do be careful, you're facing Miss Naruto-san. Didn't stop anyone. Perhaps we both owe Suzuki-san an apology. Sir Bartholomew. Yes, we should probably visit the hospital later. So, we knew that Suzuki-san took tea to the victim on the 9th question. But as he isn't the culprit, then obviously... Yes, the poison surely wasn't in the tea. But if that's the case, how on earth did the poison get into Mr. Shanspeare's body? I'm sure we'll find a clue at the scene. There must be something in Mr. Shanspeare's room that will help solve the mystery. Well, naturally the Scotland Yard this happened all over the place already. But it couldn't hurt for us to have another look around, I think. Definitely. And I'm desperate to know the outcome of the investigation into the tea left in the bar of soap. Well, if we run to Inspector Grayson, we could ask him about that. Kazuma Sogi, best friend I ever had, and a lawyer with such promise. You really saved my bacon in that horrible incident just before we left Japan. I can still picture him now, looking so fierce and determined in court. And then after the trial, that crazy idea he came up with. And as a stowaway? Yes. You put aside my trunk as you curl up small enough. I'm sure no one will know. Azuma, won't you tell me why? Why go through these lengths so I can accompany you to Great Britain? Well, it's been alright ever since we got through that trial. Did you really ought to go into law? Well, be a defense attorney. Be a defense lawyer. You've got natural talent for it. Believe me, I guarantee it. But I've never even thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, I can't force you, obviously. You have to decide for yourself. But anyway, London is a cultural capital of the world. It's a city at the forefront of everything. It can't hurt for you to see it with your own eyes. No, that's true. I suppose, though, If you become a lawyer, then one day... One day what? Oh no. Never mind. Now Horo-san? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking about Kazuma. Yes, he's forever in my thoughts too. To change the Japanese judicial system for the better. That was his dream. And that's why he was so desperate. That's why he so desperately wanted to come to Great Britain to study, of course. Yes, that's right. But... Yes? Do you wonder if his true intentions lie elsewhere sometimes? I don't know. Not just... The thought takes hold of me every now and again. That's all. Now, Horo-san, what do you mean by Kazuma-san's true intentions? I mean this. His katana? I never expected and heard the sword after Kazuma's passed away, of course. No, I know. It was because I asked you to take it. When I have it at my signing court, I feel as though it gives me courage. Yes. Actually, the night before he died, he told me a little about the sword. Kurama. That's right. It's a prize sword that has been passed down for generations of the Asogi clan. Japanese man's sword is a soul. Ryunosuke. I can't be part from my katana. Kurama guides me. Truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain. Something you have to do? Yes. I appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will! Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end of you. I know you wouldn't let me down. New Year's... I knew you wouldn't let me down, sorry. What do you mean by something very important that I have to do? I had hoped you answered that to that I had hoped that the answer to that question would become apparent when we arrive here, but as yet I'm not in a single clue. I've not. I see. Perhaps we put the spade away somewhere. That's not a spade, Naruto-san. It's a shovel. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose materials. It's a spade. No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose materials. It's a shovel. Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? You're so right, Naruto-san. You mustn't quarry over such trifles. On reflection, then, I think I'll leave the spade where it is. Yes, I think that's for the best. You may need a shovel when we're working in the garden. Oh, this is nice. These tanks are for keeping sea creatures. They're called aquariums, and they are all the rage in London at one time, apparently. Yes. English are so clever. Come to ideas of having ocean life on display in the home. And it means you always have an emergency midnight beast on hand too. I'm not sure that's really the idea. I heard that there's another room behind that door. Yes, it's my bedroom, Naruto-san, as you well know. Shall I help you? Sorry, shall I help you unpack your things? That's very kind. No, thank you. Your luggage looks very heavy. Are you sure I can't help you moving? That's very kind, but really, no thank you. A young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets, you know. The only secret I have is a fat yen banknote hidden on the backside of my drama doll. And we're done here already. Can we actually see Sholmes? 22nd February, Sholmes is sweet. Oh, Bruno and Susie! Hooray, you're back! Hello, Iris. You're in fine spirits as always, I see. I am. And you look as immaculate presented as ever, Susie. Oh, you flatter me. Well, you couldn't have come at a better time. I just made a pot of tea. I'll set some cups. Really? Thanks, Iris. But actually, what's that? What is that foul smell? Ah, the wonders return at last! Wonder. I had the power. Sorry, where on earth had the power have you been? I think I prefer. I haven't seen it. I think I prefer a normal costume. We've been in court. Oh, poor Mr. Mustache case. That was today, wasn't it? Oh, he still has the thing. The chemicals. I'm sure I mentioned it only yesterday, Mr. Sholmes. I'm sure you did. Hahaha. Well, we can laugh about it now. So tell me, how did the trial go? Pretty well so far. You managed to escape without a guilty verdict, at least. Really? Would have liked to see it. And I must pass the time of day with Mr. Reaper again. It's been too long. Is Lord Fan seeking acquaintance, Mr. Sholmes? Naturally. There's not a single person in the world who doesn't know my name is Naruhodo. Not quite what I asked, but still. Mr. Sholmes? Whatever is that odor? Yes, what is it? It's faint, but absolutely awful. Ah, indeed. That's the scent of victory, my dear fellows. Victory in science. Oh dear. Alright, I'll bite. What's he up to now? Oh, I did this. I guess it's the new evidence we need to present to him. I believe you tried to eat some soap once, didn't you? True, yes. I had a theory that it might cleanse the inside of my digestive system, you see. Was it particularly dirty, do you think? Indeed it was, for I had mistakenly enveloped some ink at the time, assuming it to be coffee. I must cleanse it once, I thought to myself. Quite logically, of course. Only you could have advocated about swallowing soap. Now, Mr. Sholmes, with this dull, sorry? If you were produce such dull items with such dull contents, you must suspect a dull response. At the very least, you could do something about your fist, my dear fellow. I crave visual stimulation. Oh, like this? Indeed. That's quite the stimulation I desire. Ah yes, the crockery of the fallen Nispon and the mustachian bookworm. His name is Mr. Suzuki Nasumi. You should really try to remember it. You're right, after all. I am trapped the man twice now. Yes, the deeply malicious bookworm has a deeply malicious mustache. Oh dear, I'm not sure about that. A deeply misfortunate mustache, perhaps. That too. A mustache is indeed misfortune, but only because it is malicious. Oh, what? What no reason, Mr. Sholmes. You won me over yet again. Okay. Actually, what about showing the Cosmic? He might. No. Well, he have an interest in this gas meter. Actually. Oh. So we did all it. Nothing new. Guess it's just conversations today with Mr. Sholmes. Okay. Lord Barak von Six. Yes, it's an interesting subtitle he has, isn't it? The Reaper of the Bailey. Once the legendary prosecutor has fought for someone's conviction, that person is doomed. Even if he or she is found not guilty by the courts, sooner or later, the hapless soul will vanish from the capital. Vanish how exactly? By falling under a passing carriage, or drowning in the planets, or succumbing to a sudden fever, or, quite out of the blue, being set upon by a highwayman. There are numerous routes to one's final terminus, my dear fellow. It all seems a little far-fetched, really. Well, on the bright side, this was satisfying fit, for the time being at least. That's not overly reassuring. If the rumors are true, though, for obvious conclusions, it would surely be that those quills are, by Lord von Sieg's own hands. As it happens, Mr. Sano, that is quite impossible. Oh? Why? Naturally, the man very quickly came under such suspicions. However, whenever those instances occur, the Reaper always has a cast iron alibi. Really? And so his reign continued. But 5 years ago, he vanished from the courts, never to appear as a prosecutor again. That is, until you arrived in the country, Miss Naruto. Yes, so I've heard. In fact, it was the very day I arrived, when I was thrust into that trial of the Old Bailey. That bitter fight to the death coincided with the Reaper's resurrection. It really did end better. I mean, indeed. And here you are, facing Mr. Reaper again. Poor Bruno, I don't know if you're just incredibly unlucky. Or incredibly unlikable. I think it was deeper than just me. I sense a general loathing of all Japanese people. So, what is that indescribable, fairly foul smell? Ah, well, probably this, I would say. What is that? My dear fellow, it is, of course, my latest invention. Chemical test that can identify whether or not a tea is genuine, a drop of some tea. Oh my. There are some unscrumptious sorts men in the stalls along some of London's less frequent streets. They regularly sell what purports to be high-quality tea, but is in fact merely dried leaves and drab filler. Well, That's certainly unsavory behavior. So when one is presented with what appears to be black tea, one must be careful. Well, Iris? At the ready, Huey! Let's add a drop of my chemical to this cup of tea here. Do you see what happens? It turned completely black! And what a foul odor it's giving off. Indeed. The blacker the tea becomes, and the more foul the odor, the better the tea is. It appeared that this cup was a particularly fine Darjeeling? That's very ingenious. But what do you do with that black liquid now? Why, dispose of it, naturally. Surely you wouldn't like to drink it, would you? There does seem to be a rather obvious problem with your new invention, Mr. Sholmes. Hence why this chemical test is merely a test, my dear madame. Right. Point is, we're entering a new era of science in the world of criminal investigation. Also, yes, forensic science! Oh, there are such exciting times. I regularly engage in this scientific experimentation alongside my unofficial consulting detective work. The Herlock Sholmes method will be the foundation upon which modern investigation techniques is based. This little tea incident would be a happy byproduct of my ongoing forensic science research. Forensic science? I suppose I should find out more about that. With Mr. Masumi, who I'm currently defending, being Japanese as well as Mr. Sano myself, I feel even more keenly in court today. For some reason, both of us seem to have an unheralded disdain for the Japanese. Indeed, it is an interesting observation. You know something about it, do you, Mr. Sholmes? It was about 10 years ago that Baron von Seek chose to enter the legal profession. However, before that time, the young man's closest companion hailed from the Empire of Japan. No! What the? Tell us more, Mr. Sholmes! What happened? I believe I've made it clear before. I'm unable to tell you anything about the affair. Oh, but... the veil will be lifted on the events of the past in due course. I have no doubts. For now, however, it is Mr. Mustache who is most deserving of your attention, I believe. So, your test. Is that an example of forensic science? Indeed it is. An essential tool in cases that hinge on the knowledge on whether some tea is of high quality or inferior quality. Not a huge number of cases then. Perhaps a more practical samples required. Fingerprints. Not yet accepted in our courts as evidence, I might add. Wait, we are dragging our heels here. There. I haven't even heard of them until recently. This is partly why I undertake research in this field. Myself, of course. Does that mean you're studying fingerprints, Mr. Sholmes? There are others than I feel right. And I abhor the company of inferior minds. No. What I'm researching is skin prints. Prints. Anomaly of my own design, as in this chemical engines that makes possible. It instantly reveals objects touched by whatever person is under investigation. Brilliant, Mr. Sholmes. As long as it doesn't turn everything completely odorous and black. I assure you, my dear fellow, you'll witness my forensic talent in action very soon indeed. Well, I think we should get back. We should go back to the scene and see if we can recover any new clothes. That's the spare, Bruno. See you later. Yes, until then. Wow, I didn't realize how perfectly matched that is. Their poses that are. Wow. Oh no, Mr. Sholmes. We're thinking you'd come with us. You were? Yes, of course. You said just a moment ago. You said we'll witness your forensic talents in action. Ah yes, I do recall saying something along those lines. But you must go on ahead. I'll be sure to follow you later. In all likelihood. Probably. Maybe. Well, I might. Your commitment astounds me. Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes. We'll eagerly await your arrival. Bye-bye, Bruno. Bye, Susie. Okay, why is it? They marry St. Bartholomew's Hospital Recovery Ward. What do you suppose is happening? It sounds like some sort of disturbance. Yes, I hear angry voices. Be not angry, oh ample lady Featherfly. Thou sought mistaken. Mistaken my foot. You were looking at my painting. The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen. 'Twas foul indeed, the poison that moustache victim gave me, lady. I wish you died from that poison. But a mercy, ample lady, thou seekest I have figure still. Behold, my Shakespeare dance! Holy crap, that actually did. That looks rather ominous, doesn't it? Ah, lo, 'tis the lawyer from the land which writeth as if the sun. Oh no. What are you doing here, Mr. Shakespeare? Mary, I do believe I am returned on to another one. He was looking. That's what he was doing. Looking at my terrible work. Ouch. Eastern fellows, so darkly clad. Faith, thy work in court this morning was wonderful. I do applaud thee. Oh well, thank you. But that doesn't mean things will go so wonderfully for you tomorrow, does it? What's that thing made of? Come on, extrude. Mr. Challenger might technically be the victim in this case. There's definitely a lot more than that. It's very hard to pin that man down. Man-bot. So sorry. I'm such an awful person. Ah, Miss Green! Is everything alright? Oh yes, I mean, don't worry about me. They're about to discharge me, so you must be ready to leave now. Oh, I see. We're delighted that you'll soon be well enough to go home, Miss Green. Oh dear, you're too kind. I don't deserve it. Hmm. So, are you feeling more like yourself today, Miss Green? I am, thank you. I mean, people do recover from ordeals like this, don't they? Even people like me. Well, yes, it really was an ordeal, wasn't it? As far as I was concerned, I was just walking along in the snow one evening, minding my own business. Then, completely out of the blue, I was stuck in the back room and I found collapsed unconscious for days. Of course. Then I finally woke up again yesterday. The whole business had been cleared up already. What a terrible week it's been for you. Okay. I'm sure it's very lucky, really. I'll look back at this fondly. Really? Anyway, I must be getting my things again now, so I'm ready to be just discharged. Yes, of course. Sorry to take up your time when you're obviously busy. I'm gonna do it here. Well, let's go investigate. Missing fireman, Mr. Assuming sludgy groundfall. Oh! Hello again, Inspector Grayson. What are you doing here? Well, we were hoping to have another look around, actually. The lawyers representing the defense has the right to examine the scene, as I'm sure were. Yeah, I know the score. Oh, yes, one more thing. Stop and ledge outside the window. Did you find it? What's with the tea in? Yeah, you found it right. And there was a small amount of tea in, as you said. None! That's what the identification section at the yard now. They're looking into it. The results should be available later today. Oh, that's wonderful news. Thank you. Pretty impressive performance in court this morning. Sorry? Nothing. Forget it. Just come. Just make sure you don't disturb anything in here. Holy crap! So it turns out Mr. Gentry wasn't eating the soup after all. Okay, the mystery and why Helen's played whilst holding the fork in his hand is solved. Yes! To praise his latest ice cone out of his mold. Yet, in the process, he accidentally broke the bar of soap in two. It certainly was hard to believe, let alone deduce. Ah, the elevated teacup from which the two men drank on the elevated night. You're in the head literary debate, yes. Who's stronger, Romeo or Juliet? It sounds like it was quite a discussion. Now that I think about it, I'm sure that the two lovers in the play ended their lives with poison. That's fiction, Mr. Sano. Let's hope it stays that way. Sun never shines in this room thanks to that depressing bricked up window. Yet, with enough determination, you can almost remove the brick and set some soup outside, can't you? That sounds like a very wise life lesson, Mr. Sano. Only if you plan to follow the life of crime, of course, Mr. Naruhodo. You round change, you wouldn't even have any light, let alone heat. For the needy London winters... Oh, for the needy? London winters can be very harsh. That's true. If you think about it, even the wealthy would find themselves freezing if they ran out of small change. London winters can be very harsh for the forgetful too then. Frankly, I'm starting to wonder if San and I are going to make it to spring. That's true. We didn't even have a meter at Baker Street, let alone a gas stove. Look how dark that stain on the floor is underneath the meter here. Yes, and all the water dripping out from after the ice coin melted, as you established in court this morning. Very large and obvious stain, isn't it? Mr. Shansier must have used an awful lot of ice coins, I suppose. It was an ingenious idea, I'll give him that. Are you looking for a new police inspector? On low fan 6 orders? Yeah. Don't come back till you've got something for me, it says. Oh dear, poor you. Yeah, poor me. Because before I search every bleeding nook and cranny in this place. I don't know what he expects, to be honest. My goodness, for one chips, it's all I can say. It's all I can say. Well, at least he's being honest. Mr. Sholmes! What are you up to over there? What a question indeed. Was it not your good selves who asked me to attend the scene? Oi! What are you doing here, Sholmes? What are you up to over there? What are you doing here? Oh, what are you doing here? Sholmes, sorry, my bad. Oh! I see the mask works. Hear me. Once a great detective, one is always under scrutiny, it seems. It's now the time, Mr. Sholmes. Oh, it's now the time, Mr. Sholmes. Are you about to show us your forensic talent in action as you promised? With the greatest of pleasure, my dear madame. What's all this? Oh my god! What is that mask? All this is precisely what you requested, Mr. Naruto. He's got a gun! Sherlock Holmes' sensational skin print sticker gun. Moments ago, I took a sample the cup that was used by the victim. A sample from Mr. Chancellor's cup. Each individual leaves a microscopic fingerprint on everything he or she touches. A subdivision is all I need to produce this, a refined indicator solution. I literally sprayed everything in the room with this. Yeah. I literally sprayed the room with this chemical. Everything the victim touches is instantly revealed with the aid of these goggles. Here, turn them on. Here, nice. Spray the chemical. Either all about all will reveal. Spray? Hi. How do I do that thing? Hello, press of the button on the area you're interested in. Those all reverse like this. What's all this stuff? It's like fog. A suspension of the chemicals indication in the pressurized gas. It's the most efficient way to cover large areas. That was another invention I discovered incidentally whilst I was developing this idea. How'd you do? Go ahead, try me, dear fellow. You may learn something interesting about the victim's movements on the night in question. Well, something nice, I suppose. Let's explore. Look! There are dozens of elements here! Those are a good many indeed. So much so that it's hard to make out any one individual print, in fact. And chills down my spine. Perhaps he was leaning against the wall whilst I'm wearing this picture? Unlikely, I would say. It's a relative scene after all. I'm about wishing to state the obvious. Wouldn't generally admire a picture of such close quarters, I feel. Well, very true, Mr. Sano. It's been a mystery then. Hey, don't give me nothing. I can't spray anymore. I guess we keep doing it until it runs out. I guess till everything's been refilled. I'm gonna. Alphin? Oh, there we go. Now I work. Oh! Or... nuts. I keep doing that same picture. Oh! Good. Oh, this here. Ah, yes, interesting. A multitude of victims' handprints. Why are there so many on the floor in this one spot? Oh, perhaps he had oh, just here. There's nothing obvious that he would have tripped over, though, is there? I wonder. Personally, I often stumble when there's nothing obvious to trip over. I think that's something only the great detective would do, Mr. Sholmes. Well, this is quite a puzzle. Handprints all over the floor. Yes. No obvious explanation. Oh, we're done. I just couldn't find the handprints. Well, we spread Mr. Sholmes' amazing skin print indicator all over the room, have we? Haven't we? We did, but there are two places that are interesting, I would say. The handprints on the floor here, and on the wall by the picture, you mean? Yes, I think the floor warrants a closer investigation. I won't be a moment. Ah! What is it, Mrs. Sano? Look here, Mrs. Sano. One of the floorboards popped out. Has popped out. One of the... You mean... It's a secret hiding place? Excellent work, Mrs. Sano. So, what do we have in here? Oi! What are you lot doing? Inspector Grayson! Down the side, right this minute. It's my job to investigate there. No need, Inspector. You continue to dig in your portion of chips. Always stick around the floor here. Your fancy talk spitting me off my food anyway, Mr. Holmes. I knew better than this is exactly what I need. Wow, a secret hiding place under the floor. What a find! It's not a hiding place you would make use of in Japan. I don't think it could fit a straw tatami hat, man. No, I know. I never expected one of these wooden floorboards to move either. It's got me wondering about the wall over there too. Are you curious? Oh! I'll investigate it once. Ah! Oh no. There's nothing behind the picture, sadly. Only the wall. Oh, disappointing. And then, how do you explain the handprints? I really can't think why anyone would have been touching the wall over there in one place like that. Squirrel. There you are, a print for you. Ah, handprints on the wall. Has been added. Oh, thank you very much. Inventions can make prints too? Hey then. I wonder if Inspector Grayson's found anything under the floor there. I'm desperate to know! So am I! Ah. I have to know if there's anything hidden underneath the floorboard there. Allow me to ask Grayson now. After all, we're quite well acquainted. Inspector Grayson! Really, it's been too long. What is this, Sholmes? I thought perhaps you might show me what you found there. Since we're such good friends. We're not friends. No, I suppose not. At the small failure. Yes, I heard. Killed to know what was under that floorboard. Alright then. Fair is fair. What? You did discover the hiding place after all. I suppose I should at least fill you in. Really, Inspector? Thank you. Do quickly, my dear fellow. There's all I gotta know about this man is that he blows with the wind, as fickle as the weather. Oi! Stop making me like some kind of nut. There were 3 items under the floor there, and this paper clipping, a photographic print, and a tin box. Now, what do you want to know? Looks like this was cut out of a paper about 3 months ago. It's about a convict who got sick and died while he was serving time up in Manchester. How terrible. It made the headlines down here in London as well. The bloke had been sentenced to death, you see, but nature got him first. Oh my goodness! He committed a capital offense? Man by the name of Seaton. Nasty piece of work in the burglaries and murder. They say the hoarding up. The off was worth about £1,000. A hoard of treasure, you mean? Julie and the like. But he's hidden it somewhere and no one knows where. And now he's dead. The papers love it, of course. £1,000 lost at a route to hell. Or some sort of headline. Or some such a was a headline. That's tricky though. Why such an article would be so carefully ensconced under the floor? I suppose now you mention it, it does seem a bit odd. Perhaps I'll go over the pigworks we got on the seat in the back of the yard and see if we can turn anything up. So, this is the photograph I found. Looks reasonably recent to me. Yes, it would appear to have been taken on the streets in front of the house here. And the gentleman on the left is the grab, the landlord, of course. Who's the young man on the right? Is the grab's son, perhaps? Perhaps. You can take this print if you like. Really? Are you sure? We can presume, therefore, that the yard already knows the identity of this young fellow, that is. Oh! Is that true? Well, it's too bad if we do. Unfortunately for you lot, looking information isn't one of my pastimes. And the Inspector, would be so bold as to point something out. Pastimes are for one's leisure, but this is for work. All the more reason I'm not telling you. That's a small failure. Yes, I heard. Alright. A photograph. I wonder why this photograph like this wasn't hidden under the floor. I mean, Mr. Shakespeare himself, isn't it? Photographers are so rare treasures in the East End. I imagine Mr. Garth was rather delighted to have been immortalized. He probably made a proud present of it. Now, this tin box looks interesting, doesn't it? Might I suggest, Inspector, that you open it? You were able to find something inside that reveals the truth behind this case. I wouldn't be at least surprised. Yeah, funny enough that I've already had a look at it. Look. It's completely empty. What? Shakespeare! Give us a clue, man! You didn't even have a chance to utter the words, Mr. Naruto. At least But anyway, at least we found out what's inside the box. Yes, spinner. It's empty. Rather like how I feel inside. There's nothing more in this box in? I wonder. Hello, cat! Oh, look! It's a lovely little kitty cat. What was his name? It's Mr. Nasumi's, isn't it? I don't think we've ever asked him, actually. Why don't we call it Wagahai? You know, like Mr. Nasumi refers to himself in Japan, in Japanese. I wonder how he got here. Clever cat. Oh, wonderful! Well then, Wagahai, here's some delicious I brought for you from the cat's meat man. He came me happier now. Look, I just hope we can bring some happiness to his owner too. That was a cheeky meow, Wagon High. Oh, but he's so adorable. I could just sit and watch him forever. I think he may not appreciate that after a while. We have an investigation to get back to. Oh, okay. Let's go to Briar Road. The 2nd February, Briar Road. Nothing. My 2nd February, let's go to local prison, cell 9. Oh, Mr. Nasumi is back. So yes, Mr. Nasumi, hello. Hi, I'm a cat. Sorry? I don't know who Mr. Nasumi is. Or Sherlock Holmes. I don't know about courts or trials or Old Baileys. I'm a cat. I am a cat. That's what I am. Just a cat. Mr. Naruto, he's trying to escape from reality. Trying to. He already has. Completely. So, what was your name? What's your name then? As yet, I have no name. Mr. Naruto! He hasn't really followed Jenny. Met you. Maybe it's like to bring back to reality. Do you think you could open your eyes for us, misunderstand me? I am not a cat. Hey, Wern! He's back in the real world. What is going to become of me? No! Don't answer that! It's obvious! My cursed soul is never going to escape this accursed fate! Is there something? No! This morning procedures in court prove that there's still hope! Yes, yes, look whom student Mr. Naruto Squire was written, but the Reaper is omnipresent in court! It's my fucking here, there, everyone! What's he thinking shit of me for? I think perhaps that there are some things we should discuss. Oh, yes. Yes, we must. Uh, oh. Oh, okay. What's this? Is the new paper cutting that we found in Mr. Champs's room? Ah, so he knew, did he? Sorry? About this man, Seaton. A convicted killer? And the evil spirit and curse that affects my lodging. What? He's already taken one young man's life, and now he's trying to take the life of another. A miserable mustache Japanese man. So, Simi, if you know someone, please, you must tell us. Tell us everything you can about this evil spirit. Okay. Simi, what do you know about this? Ah, there it is! The leafy lowlife that took my neighbor's life and sent me sliding to the depths of despair. Slippery, sickly, psychotic saboteur! You've really gone off soap, haven't you? Absolutely. I've made up my mind. The next time someone gives me soap as a present, it's... friendship finished firmly forever! I don't know that we can blame soap for everything that happened to me. Okay. In my whole life, have I ever been so moved as I was today? No! Of course, I cast my mind back. There were perhaps one or two other occasions that moved before. But if I just blocked those out, then today being in the courtroom was the most moving experience of my life. Look, Mr. Naruto Squire. You're too kind. Scotland Yard found the remaining tea, so this is we deduce and are analysing as we speak. There's nothing wrong with the tea. They won't find poison in it. That's solemn sworn Sasuke certain. Okay. Alright. Please tell me you both drink tea at the same time that night. Oh yes, most definitely. Remember, drink tea while it's hot. Okay. Okay, we both poured it down our throats like it was a hot bath for our bellies. At And at the time, you were both completely fine. I show him the facts that him and Mr. Shakespeare then engaged in the Romeo and Juliet match. I suppose the focus of tomorrow's proceedings will be how the poison was taken by the victim then. That rotten Shakespeare! What have I done to him? Have I done to him? I don't recall him taking issue with you over anything you've done recently. I've been holed up in my room, immersed in books. I don't recall anything at all! Right. But what I don't understand is why he didn't let me know sooner. Let me know what, Mr. Simi. About the soap? Of course. What else? Oh dear. I don't know what. Are you struggling with some sort of striping? Of course I am. If I have money, I would have chosen to live. I wouldn't have chosen to live on a cursed existence and such a cursed lodging. Oh, yes. You said it's because the place is cursed that it's so cheap, didn't you? Exactly. Especially the room that I ran. The spirit of that capital offender who lived there is haunted the place. And it's trying to kill me. Capital offender? Might I ask, locum student Mr. Narhill Squire, that the next time you visit me, you bring scores of super soft soup! The truth is, I don't know the details myself until recently, very recently. I see man was arrested about a year ago now. And at that time, he was hiding out in lodgings at Mr. Garab's house. What? He lived? What do you do now? Yes, that's right. Exactly where I live now. In my very room. Oh my, your room was previously occupied by a criminal found guilty of a capital offense? But before his sentence could be carried out, he died in prison. That was 3 months ago now. And that's when it started. Cursed. What really is this curse you keep mentioning, Mr. Simi? It's already caused one death. A few months after the criminal passed away in prison. A man died in the room. The man who rented it after seeing, in fact. The poor lodger, he was found dead in mysterious circumstances. The room was locked from the inside. Locked from the inside? It's exactly like the case we're dealing with now. So, that's the conflict's curse, isn't it? Well, yes, well, that was the start of it. Do you have any idea how the lodgers before you pass and wait, Mr. Nasumi? The official cause of death was asphyxia. When they discovered the body, the room was full of gas. Gas? I only found that out when I signed the leash. When Mr. Crab came to tell me later, I couldn't stop myself trembling. In fact, if I'd known beforehand, I probably would have been too scared to take the room. Lumber is exactly legal! Luckily for Mr. Crab, maybe, but not so lucky for poor Mrs. Sumi. But now you believe this curse is affecting you? It is, at first. I just felt as though I was being watched all the time. And then you talked about having nightmares, didn't you? Then they're trying to take me with them. Come for me and try to suffocate me. Just when I'm struggling to breathe, I wake up. The room is as cold as ice. But why is your room so cold? London's winters are too cold to bar without any heat on overnight. But for some reason, even though I light the stove before I climb into bed, our light always goes out and the room is filled with gas. But that's terrible. That's exactly the same situation as what led to the previous occupant's death. And then there's what happened to Mr. Shamspeare last night, when he was found mysterious poison. There's clearly more to that incident that can be explained by a curse, though. Whatever can be the cause of all this strange happening in Mr. Grab's house. Second of February. This is Mr. Grab's house. Room. Ah, you're here now, Mr. Grab. Right bally businesses for me, you know. Get me out in the bag. Were you at the Old Bailey by any chance? Naturally, feeding my lodgings in the balance and all that. Not a shot to miss. The fifth of what's already been dubbed your haunted lodging, yes. Of course, the place has caused quite a stir around the capital on more than one occasion already. As the old haunted lodging of some sort. Ah, at least he knows. Makes you wonder what the blaze is. It makes you wonder what the blaze is going on, don't you know? Yes, I'm sure. When did he get here? In fact, you can back to Mitsumi's other just 2 days ago. You were at the Old Bailey den as well, weren't you? Testifying with your wife about what happened. Stop off at the prison on the way home, in fact. Beastly business. I see. So, we're bringing to my haunted abode today, eh? Oh. Ah, Alamont gas meter, yes. Decent fireplace in here, of course. So no need for gas stove. There's nothing better than a gas lamp for reading in bed, eh? Actually, Mr. Sumi mentioned that the gas supply to his room keeps failing. Ah, yes, that. I had the gas company look into it. They couldn't find a thing wrong. The chap must have been imagining things. I don't think he was imagining it. Poor man woke up unable to breathe. Think it was put down to ghosts of work or such in the end. Place must be haunted. Okay. Mr. Garrett, could I ask you to have a look at this photograph? Is that your son who's with you there? No, not at all. He was lodger here once. Lucan Ross was his name. Lucan Ross. A street photographer happened to be passing, so I asked him to take a shot. Just for kicks, really. Was he, by any chance, the lodger before Mr. Sumi? Yes, that's right. Ah, the young gentleman who died in the room in mysterious circumstances. Just what Mr. Mustache was waiting for, one might say. Yes, young Duncan lived in the room at the top of the first flight of stairs before that Japanese chap. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about him? Some fishy fellow from the far east and a field actor chap of questionable character, eh? Yes, the house does seem to have becoming something of a magnet for rum fellows of late. Thanks to that belly cuss. The convict's curse, you mean? Ah, read the stories, have you? The rotten scoundrel was arrested here. And the next chap in the room goes and keels over. Then there was a woman who dropped dead just out the street. Not to mention the actor yesterday. Am I next, eh? Well, can't help but with the collie wobbles, can you? When you say that woman who dropped dead outside the street, you mean Miss Green? Because Miss Green, who was stabbed by the knife, was a Chancellor who was poisoned last night. We're very much alive still. Yes, well, so is that Blaza convict's cuts, it seems. Personally, I should be quite content with such lodgings. A bath, a toilet, a fireplace, fascinating history. Why? It sounds like a lap of luxury. Huh? I'm not so sure about that. Well, there's no bath or toilet included, and no fireplace either. But you do look out for your tenants, don't you? By watching the rise and fall of flames in your gas lamps up here? Yes, never hurts to keep an eye on things. In case there are any mishaps, such as like. I think you had your mishaps alright, sir. That's not helpful, Mr. Sholmes. Hems, forgive me! The word just came by my lip. Just came to my lips. Some fishy fellow from the far east and a failed actor chap across my carriage, eh? There's no need that for Mr. Garrett. That's right, Mr. Sumi is in no way fishy. He is undeniably peculiar, however. Is it right that he took the pickings immediately after the previous tenant passed away? Yes, that's right. I asked the state agents to find someone and he popped up the very same day. Never came across a chap so keen for a place with a background, as it were. I don't think it was the room's background he was keen on. So much that she ran, actually. So, how long has Mr. Chancellor been lodging under your roof? That field actor chaps? Let me see. Oh, of course. Yes, it's been 3 months now. I'm sure of it. Only 3 months? He's quite near here too, then. And to what do we owe? You're certain that in that regards, Mr. Graf, might I ask? Well, it was that Seaton scoundrel. Haven't Seaton? The convict, you mean? Seaton and Chandler have some sort of connection then? A convict chap, Seaton, passed away in a clink 3 months ago now, you see? Some mild lady or other. Yes, we've seen the reports up from the newspaper at the time. Well, it was only 3 days later that the tragedy showed his face. Jack the fellow. Really? Yes, I remember quite distinctly. "'Tis small, this world we inhabit. Pray thee, landlord, hear my request. I, the humble Shanspeare, do desire to take that room on the middle floor offered vow for rent. I'm very sorry and whatnot, but that wouldn't be possible. We already have a lodger on the middle floor. Ground floor is vacant, though. Nothing can be made out of nothing. Let me repeat my will upon thee." Those curs must be muffling your ears. The room in the middle floor is taken. The ground floor, nothing. Very well. We have an accord. Glad to hear it. Look on the Vire Road. Lo, a Shamsit dance to celebrate! From what I heard in court today, it sounds like the chap was thieving gas. Okay. And he was 3 months in Aries in the ring, too. Yes, the fellow was a balling player, right? Thank you for the condo, Mr. Crab. We are most grateful. By way of appreciation, allow me to say 1 or 2 words. Give me my robe, put on my crown. I have immortal longings in me. What happened to you? Shakespeare, my dear fellow. One of his most famous lines. I wish to divulge my own learnings and subject, for I have a turn for literature too, you know. Okay, perhaps you could turn your attention to more apt lines then. Yes, Duncan Rose. Young chap was attending art school. Had to work to pay for it, mind. Moved into the middle floor about a year ago, after the criminal Steven was arrested. Young students are always on the hunt for rooms with a history behind them. A history of cheap rent, maybe? Yes. Yes, well anyway, it was warm about a month ago now. I hadn't quite worked out the old trick of watching the gas lamps to see what my lodgers were up to at the time. Sadly, I rather talk to discover what had happened. No, gas letter me it was. Ah yes. Simon with a smell of death. Sorry. Got to leave right away, of course. And I also kicked the door off its hinges. But once I got inside, we all bodily collapsed. Because of the gas? Yeah. Room's full of it. Nowhere at all. Soup must have got like what a poor chap was sleeping in his bed. Mr. Rose suffocated to death. Of course, the police gave me a sign ticking off because the gas pipes were so old and all that. Can't tell you how much it's set me back to have the lot replaced all over the house. Even after you have all that work done, I'm assuming he said the same thing. That the stove goes out at night while he's asleep in bed. What's that? Well, that's the bottom curse, the conflict's curse. I've done my duty as a lawman now. Someone's feeling defensive. Ah, that reminds me, actually. Yes? But young Duncan, the night before the poor chap's perished. He'd been writing a letter. A letter of affection to a young lady. A love letter, you mean? Yes, let's put it now. Ah, here it is. Left it on my desk. Excuse me. Let me see now. Lord. Excuse me? Let me see it now. What does it say? To my most beautiful and charming sweetheart. You think that we should be reading such a personal piece of correspondence? My dear Mr. Sono, That's precisely why I'm preface my readings with, if you excuse me. I will not excuse you, Mr. Sholmes. No! Sadly, he didn't address it, though. So I've no means of delivering the thing. Not sad, really. See. Goes to play in my mind. Let's go into play in my mind. But really, did I hit? Maybe Mr. Rose's sweetheart has no bearing on this case. I think we should leave it. Well, we should leave well alone. Yes, I suppose you're right. The intended recipient's address is missing, however. There's a name. I'm sure the man's most beautiful and charming sweetheart. Mr. Sholmes, please! I've already had the chance to you about this once. My undying love to you, my colorful darling, Oliver Green. Ah! Olive Green? The woman who was plunged into a coma after a knife plunged her into her back outside the house 5 days ago. The victim of the last case of suicide was in court for. Regained conscious only yesterday. Is it just a chance that her name has come up now? Could it possibly be a mere coincidence? Mr. Naruto, what can this mean? In personal correspondence, it's gonna have its merits, you see, Mrs. Sano. I think we're done here. Let me go back. Oh, to go to my chance Spears room. He's taking a very the Balamoose Hospital Recovery Ward. Mr. Naruto, I just finished speaking with the doctor. He seems Miss Green's well enough to be discharged at last. It's good news. This is good news, hopefully, just before she leaves. Ah! What is it? Miss Green! What was that? She clearly just hit something back in her back. Oh, one moment. I'll be with you in theory. Oh, hello everyone. What are you doing here? The doctor has said I can be discharged, so I'm getting my things together. The screen. What were you just doing? Oh, nothing, really. I'm just about to take some medicine the doctor prescribed to me, that's all. Well, we were hoping to have another quick chat with you, if that's alright. I don't really have anything else to tell you. Alright, she's definitely behaving strangely. Let's see if we can coax something out of her. This is the bottle that Miss Green was about to drink when we arrived. Yes. She looked rather preoccupied, didn't she? Perhaps it's very bitter. That's not better medicine. I suppose that could be it. In fact, whatever the doctor prescribed me medicine for a number of days, I always take it all at once. Oh no! Well, if you have to take something you don't like, it's best to get it all out of the way in one go, isn't it? Oh dear. I thought it was Miss Green I should be worried about at the moment. This is the card that Miss Green was looking at so intensely before, isn't it? It's not our Hodo, but she can be peeking on a young maiden's private effects. Right, I should say peeking for gentlemen's effects only. Must do that either. And maybe you, Mrs. Hodo, shouldn't be peeking into a young man's mind either, huh? Yeah, but without everything else. It's wonderful news that you're going to be discharged, Miss Green. Yes, I mean, thank you. Most people are bad at the hospital's office don't want them lingering and wasting space. Not people like me, anyway. So I don't think I should keep anyone with me. I should probably stand. I probably shouldn't stand around and chat. She certainly doesn't seem to be in the mood to talk, that's for sure. Miss Green, we were hoping to ask you about someone. Mr. Duncan Rose, you knew him, didn't you? Oh no, I'm so sorry. Oh, Madison felt when she did. Oh, Miss Green, are you alright? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to start you like that. No, it's alright. I just wasn't expecting it. But how do you know about Duncan? Mr. Ross has been writing a letter when he passed away. The landlord found it in his room. It was a personal letter to you. It was at the art school. That's where I met Duncan, a year ago now. He was working to fund his studies. He dreamt of becoming a professional artist one day. And the two of you became romantically involved. Yes, that's right. You were very much in love. You were engaged to be married, actually. But that's why he decided to move into a cheaper room to save money for the wedding. That's what led him to his garden. Yes. He told me he found the worst but cheapest room in the entire East End. And then, 1 month ago, that's when it happened. We're so terribly sorry, Miss Green. Well, it's all in the past now, I suppose. Poor Miss Green. She looks desperately sad. I was starting to think that's just her look. But now I see that she has every reason to feel the universe is against her. I do hope you won't think I'm being rude, but do you mind leaving me in peace now? I have to leave the hospital soon. Oh, I'm so sorry. We didn't mean to hold you up. There. Where's over here? Mr. Naruto! Whee! Surely you were not about to leave. That's quite out of the question. What? Mr. Sholmes? I didn't realize you were here. But of course it was, my dear fellow. Watch intensely in the shadows always. I'm assuming he was grabbing onto that cupboard. Well, make your presence known next time. The Sholmes? What's this about? Something which occurred to me with some regularity, Mr. Sano. Is this? Why do detectives insist on such an ex post facto mundus operae? Why solve a case after it's happened, instead of preventing a case before it happens? That is what set a great detective apart. What do you mean? There is a case waiting to happen under our very nose, Mr. Naruto. Let's avert disaster. Let's prevent this case from ever happening. If nothing but careful observation. Alright. All the clues you need are set before you. You only look, and you cannot fail to see. You can do it, Mr. Naruto. I know you can. That rat is dead! That mouse seems to be dead. Look, I didn't know so before, did you? I think perhaps drank the medicine that spilled out of the bottle. That's the bottle Miss Green was about to drink before from when we ran. You don't think? Ah, I see you've come to appreciate the true nature of the scene. That a tragedy was about to take place. Romeo and Juliet. Not a fight, but the plate song. Yes, I think it's falling into place. Miss Green, can't tell the bottle you have before what's had spilled out on the floor. The poor mouse that drank it has sadly died. Oh! I think it's clear that bottle was gonna contain that powerful poison. Don't worry. I will attend to the mouse presently. Miss Green, we intend to go the same way as the one to take your own life. Oh! Once we left, you would have to put it to your lips again, wouldn't you? And take the poison. No! Miss Green, please! Please talk to us! It definitely feels as though this card must be relevant. I mean, when we first arrived, Scream was standing within her hand in what can only be described as a very tense moment. Yes. Him and Alfari felt we related to veterans, and Mr. Jones believed was about to happen here. Perhaps we should ask Miss Green about it. Ten seconds later, and we'd have arrived at a very different scene here. You know, probably, we would not have enjoyed this most delightful conversation. Of course, perhaps it hadn't been quite so delightful from your perspective, Miss Green. Actually, in a way, now that everything's out in the open, I feel like a weight has been lifted. Tell me, did you acquire this mess? Well, this being a hospital and all, when the doctor comes to see me in the morning, always leaves the cabinet open for a while. So he's not to say when he was looking. The conspicuous lacks a label. I wonder what it contains. I'm afraid I don't really know. My fault if I drank it. I might just stop the pain somehow. Oh please, Miss Green. Talk of such things. Well, it seems clear now that it contains poison. Yes, the poor little mouse is proof of that. Oh no, oh my fault. What have I done? I shall move this to my office, Miss Green. I take it you have no objections? No, none. Neither the senator's name or address appears to be written on the envelope or the card. I arrived by post my home and that put me in the hospital here. There. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Rose. Come to the Slug and Salad Bar on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on 17th. Don't tell anyone else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. Wait a minute. 17th of this month? That's the day. That's the day you were stabbed on Briar Road. And 5 p.m. is precisely the time when the incident occurred. Slug and Salad. Yes. A pub in the northern corner of Briar Road. Briar Road? That being the stream misery. I'm so sorry. Does that mean none? Yes, I'm sure you've guessed. That day, when I was struck in the back by a knife, I was actually on my way to Slug and Salad. Goodness. That's what you were doing in Briar Road that day. I'm sorry I didn't say anything before. I think I really will They ask you to excuse me now. Told you everything. Yes, I'm very sorry to have dragged such painful memories for you. No, it's fine. Miss Green, please promise us you won't try to do anything like that again. Yes, don't worry. Your detective friend has the ball now anyway. And besides, I've been stabbed in the back and had a close shave of a bottle of poison, and I'm still here. I think I'm destined to see things through to the end. It might sound a little conceited, but that's how all this makes me feel. Leaving Miss Green and some bother me behind. We made our way back to Baker Street with Mr. Sholmes. Well, it would appear we've reached the end of the investigation show for the day. Yes, it's late. And, Mr. Naruto? Discover anything that may be of use to you in court tomorrow, do you think? Details about Miss Shamspeare, Miss Crab's lodging, and the complex seating? There are many facets to this case, and we've yet to see the heart of it. Guessing. That's my feeling anyway. I can't help wondering about the results of the analysis. About misunderstanding team, you mean? Yes. Will they have found strength from China in it or not? Well, I fear that either way, it'll be hard to skip the grip of our friend, Mr. Reaper. Oh dear. Yes, Barack von Zeke. But I wish you every success, of course. I know I was late to rise this morning. Tomorrow will be a new dawn. I intend to spring from my bed at the crisp hour and attend the trial. Mr. Sholmes, you're going to come? Indeed. Whatever happens, I shall be there. Assuming my eyelids cooperate in the morning. Well, I think we've done all we can. All that's left is to remain focused and keep fighting Mr. Sumi's case until the very end. London, the world's most prosperous city, home to some 6 million people. But away from the razzle-dazzle, down back alleys and behind bricked-up windows, the lonely lurk. Suki-san had battled long and hard with loneliness during his many months here. And I feel so honored bound to battle equally hard for my compatriots with the curse that script him. As Mr. Jones, yes, will be a new dawn for all of us. Alright. We could technically stop. But we have time. Let's keep moving. Our Chinese February 9:23 a.m. OPLA Defense Antechamber. Okay. This is it, Mr. Naruto. Yes, it's time to put an end to this now. To the miserable curse that's been plaguing Mr. Sumi. Everything. And in my own small way, I shall do everything I can to help you. I always appreciate your help, Mr. Susano. Suffering! Suzuki! Selfishly sidelined! Ah! Good morning to you too, Mr. Sumi. Good morning! Good morning! Look, I'm sitting not Haro Squire. Listening to you so genuinely happily as if the main play here today's child isn't here. Why would you do that? Why? Oh dear, we didn't mean to cause offense, Mr. Simi. I thought perhaps that because you had your eyes shut so tightly, you're meditating, finding inner calm. It seemed wrong to disturb you. I was waiting! What's the matter, Mrs. Simi? You seem different somehow today. Why, naturally, because I've attained spiritual enlightenment. The path to literature, you see, is a journey to discover your one's own death. Or such like. That's the sort of morning conversation I was hoping for. That's why I have my eyes shut. I missed the signs, I'm afraid, somehow. You have to forgive me. And you mustn't talk of your path to your death, Mr. Simi. That was just an example! Oh yes, there it is. Intercom. You barely came to see me at all yesterday. I was sure you abandoned me. I'm returned to our beautiful, long-lost homeland. We have not even been gripping a week yet. Yes, well, anyway. I intend to set everything straight in court today. I'm determined to cover the truth. I've actually reached an important decision myself. Oh? What sort of decision? I shall fill you in after the trial. Alright. It was seen. Mr. Sholmes isn't coming today after all. It's a very clever message, I think. My dear fellows, you must win this battle on your own merit. It's a very clear message, I think. But he overslept again. Great detective, my arch nemesis. Long may he stay away, if you ask me. Defendant and your legal representative, tell us about to begin. Make your way into the courtroom immediately. Today, once again, we face the Reaper. And when the Reaper stands for the prosecution, the defense fate is sealed. I don't believe in that legend any more than I believe in Susan's curse. The truth is in here somewhere, and I won't let it escape me. I have to keep believing in my client, and keep fighting to the very end, that's all. Saturday, 3rd of February, 9:40 AM. The Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. Call upon the counsels of the prosecution and defense to declare they're willing to proceed. The prosecution is ready. Yes, the defense is ready. Very good. Now I will call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury, chosen by the lot to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to proceed? Absolutely. Justice will be done. You mark my words. I feel obliged to say, I feel especially ruthless on days when my heart isn't sitting just right. Oh, well, I wonder if you could just adjust my hat for me, and please, be as ruthless as you like. Thieves deserve to die, if you ask me, especially Gatsby's. I've no sympathy for that man at all. Look, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again. I don't have time for this. I got my own problems. Oh, may the Lord show us the light here, and his flock to the righteous verdict again today. Now, Lord Fanseek, what can you tell us? Prosecution report, please. For the court. In relation to the very expunged by the defense yesterday regarding the defendant's tea. He does have the results. Before the prosecution delivers the black news about the black tea belonging to the black guard in the dock, pray allow me a moment to savor a little bit of more shot. Sanju and Hugh. In fact, I defer to the good detective for the report. Here's to you, Inspector. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. As an defiant defense, we found bars soaked just outside the victim's window in the snow. And there was indeed a frozen reddish liquid in the middle depression on the top of it. Yes, that's the tea! That's what the same we brought with him that night. Well, the prints are on site, and yes, you were right, it was tea. And there wasn't a trace of sternities or any other toxin substance in it. No poison at all! In other words, the tea that the defendant brought into the victim's room is innocent! And I heard the door, so I'm going to be back in a bit. Alright, I am back. Just when... So someone came for me, I went to pick up, then somebody else came to the door, so I was getting that sorted, so we're all good. Let's get back to this. So, in other words, team, the defendant brought the defecting weapon to this picture room. It's innocent. It's in the clear. What a revelation! The tea is innocent! As I suspected. This makes it quite clear. The defendant, Mr. Suzuki Nasumi, is blatantly... My learned friend is jumping to conclusions again. A typical Nipponese reaction. What? Yes, it's true, no poison is found in a few drops of the liquid covered from the soap on the window's ledge. But, what logic is that? Would you take a drop of the fragments and conclude that the water in the ocean isn't salty? What, the water in the ocean is extremely salty, Counsel? Oh! Exactly. Unfit for drinking, just as the victim's tea was the night in question. The court has already heard. Bitter was the precise word at the lips of Mr. William Shakespeare. Whom the prosecution calls back to the stand. Very well. I will uphold the prosecution's request. Mr. Shakespeare. Yes. It sounds like we're going to have another confrontation of our theatrical friend. Well, show Mr. Shakespeare to the stand. Mr. William Shakespeare, the victim of this despicable crime. Oh heavens, oh hell, do you command me to remember? Oh smooth to sigh, Shakespeare did have a belly full of foul fluid giveth in my innocence. Yes, but as we revealed in yesterday's proceedings, Winston was not as innocent as we had perhaps first been led to believe. By using the splash soap in this, he has been stealing gas from the supply company, yes. One may smile and be a villain. Forsooth, 'twas I, Shakespeare, did have a room full of sweet fuel given. Right, fellow juries, don't forget this man's a rotten thief. I haven't forgotten. Kept all not about the ice coin a tidy secret, didn't you? You're sooner up and up. You should have done him sooner. Arrest him, I say! Arrest him at once! Let him feel the sting of my tail! Oh, indeed. By dint the file cover means have I been plotted to further my own ends, I confess. Thou would have not pardoned my sins, for that I'm sure. No. If you acknowledge your own doings, what is you doing here? Cowards die many times before their death. And for cowards such as I, death will be well deserved. But would it that a still good crime possessive unpunished? Below, the hairy gentleman, ladies and gentlemen from the far east of further on, the committed to what contributed to poison. There was no poison in the tea found in your room. The police have tested that. Would the defense soon assert as an inconsistency will be quickly cleared up by the witness testimony? Is that so, Mr. Shakespeare? Verify, my liege. I would most gladly speak. Very well. Let the witness testify to explain the inconsistency. Tell the court, why is it that poison apparently entered your body? For none, though none was found in the tea. Okay, the Japanese man did come to my chambers with tea brewed in a pot. Took was in my cup alone, not the wicked miscreant secretly poured his wicked poison. I was thinking distraction in our debate, near that a drop of his own drink past his lips. Oh, well, when he departed by and by, I didn't use the tea that remained in his cup to make my cones of coins of ice. Thus is no surprise that the poison was not found in the tea that I did pour into the molds of soap. The poison was slipped into the cup after the tea had been brewed. The normal way for poison to be administered, in my experience. Otherwise, yeah, quite otherwise, it would just be disastrous at the poison near when it mix up the cups, for instance. Alright, but no poison bottle was found in the scene. Why? Because, quite simply, maybe he took the bottle back to his home room. The absence of the fatal containment of poison only becomes problematic when considered suicide. I knew that. By now, it should be perfectly clear. A bar of 2 of cheap soap is wholly insignificant to wash the deep stain of guilt from the accuser's hand. Person's hand. Ah! Sirs, madams, 'tis true that I, Shakespeare, be a common thief of gas. But, listen here, ladies and gentlemen. Wherefore would I lie? Verify, I have no cause. I have naught to lose. Well, I do declare, before your testimony, witness, until proceed your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. I say we do this one then. When we get to the next testimony after this, I'll wrap up. Hold it! I understand you were already acquitted with misunderstanding. Was that correct? I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayer. Do I know thee? Know thee not. Methinks 'tis all I can know, that thy destiny mingles with mine. Lost me at the first D. Sound, sir. Thou must learn English tongue before thou turn thy hand to lawyering. I did. I must have missed the art Elizabeth lecture. Verify and true. Time towards a fine flavor brew. Though a drop of poison did by a sweetness, as the thorn doth have the sweet rose. That, dear friends, be a simple truth. The simple truth. There's a chance here. He seems in even better form than yesterday. Either that, or I'm in worse form. That's Fidget evening after I did dine at Grub's Grubbery, a local ale brew of Cooper Port. Enough to pass my lips, but the tainted black tea. Amigo, the poison was not in the tea at first. Hold it! Are you saying that you saw the moment when the poison was added to your tea? You have witnessed an act and then drank the tea? Does thou dost describe the action of a fool? Quite so, quite so. But no one likes going fast, do they? Sooner would I die in quench than parched. Would I have a choice? Actually, on the ninth question, the watermelon was frozen, I believe, wasn't it? Was it not for tea? In sooth, I would sooner have died frozen than quenched or parched. Right. No ice coin means no heating. The witness had more than one brush with death on the ninth question, it would seem. Remind the court, Mr. Chancellor, as to whether the accused drank any of the tea he brought with him. It's just your pleasure, my liege. Hold it! But the teacup Mr. Sumi drink was found completely empty at the scene. Let's not forget the defendant's maxim: drink tea while it's hot. I took a cup from a poisoned cup that night, and in my agony, I riffed on control. In fit of pain, I did knock the fellow's cup that contains spilled as blood from a gaping wound, methinks. Though certainly it was after I made my coin of... Sorry, it was after I had made the coin of ice from his tea. An upset cup was found on the table that the victim slumped over. There is no contradiction here. It's true. There was no tea left in the inner cup that we found at the scene. Still, something about the steeping is troubling me. Yes, of course. You know what it is. It's Master Sumi's wise drink tea while it's up maxim, isn't it? No, I'm not sure that's it. Thank you, witness. Now, rid of the court what is occupied you after your guest had left, before you drank the tea. When he departed by and by, I did... Okay. Oops. I was meant to press that. Okay, yes! So that you could cheat the gas company, in fact. Isn't that right? To cheat or to die, 'tis life's only choice. Yes. Faith. If to be cheated, to cheat be a wise choice of mine, arguments be not an ugly one. Crafty, dost thou not seek beauty in the simplicity of a ruse? Okay. No, I don't. I'll be very sure, sir. Once the trial's over, and my guys will take you to task over this. Legal tasks. I shall not run. I shall not hide. Smooth to say, I have nowhere to run nor to hide. But, my lady, what wouldst thou with this pitiful player? Oh, I'll tell you what I'd like to do with you. Starting with this sorry shot on your back. 'Tis time for the Shakespeare dance! What a harsh world we live in. The thieving of the gas was addressed in yesterday's proceedings. Discussion calls and other events not to muddy the waters with relevance. Consider that a warning, Council. Yes, my lord. Am I the one in trouble here? It's a Shakespeare. After the accused returned to his own lodgings, you used this tea to make your callings. Is that correct? To shoot or die, I didn't make my choice many moons ago. 'Tis no surprise. Oh yeah. Whoops. So it's been proven that there was no poison in Success Sea. That should be hugely in our favor. Ah, crap. Never mind. Well, that's from the court from today. I feel so everyone's against us that our heart. It must be the river's poison. I'm afraid that if we don't find a significant flaw in the testimony somewhere, the jury will pounce and find misunderstood me guilty. It really feels like we jumped into a fire here. We'll do the last press and we'll wrap up. Hold it! Okay. If having the first major splash of coins, it was after 2 in the morning when you collapsed. Okay. That would mean that you kind of drank the tea yourself around that time. Okay, once ensnared by the literary debates, naught else has found her of mind. The debate about Romeo and Juliet, you mean? Who was the stronger of the two? Rightly, I paid no heed to the tea as I wrestled with the admirable fellow. I don't remember debates like that when I was studying. I should just that neither. You actually drank tea whilst it was hot that evening? My lord, would if thou be privy to some Shakespearean wisdom? Husband, wife, and tea are I tempered be. Ah yes, very true. Everyone has different preference when it comes to tea. I think you might have interpreted that wrongly. Okay. You know what? We'll wrap things up here. I didn't realize things like that. So it's fine. Right. Memoirs of Hooker. I gotta keep that name remember next time. So I'm going to say next time we'll actually have this finished. So that being said, thanks for watching. Hope it was a good day. Hope it was a good week. I'll see you all next time. Bye.